Hey, what's up? How are you? It's your best friend Daniel Mary with Alt 92.3, and I'm with
Dallon.
Dallon.
Dallon from I Don't Know How, But They Found Me, which is a
Okay.
band name, if you can believe it or not.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. But
Okay.
how the heck are you, man? You good?
Yeah, we're good, staying safe and trying to stay sane as best as we can in
Nice.
circumstances.
Right. So if you had to describe your 2020 so far in 5 words, how would you describe it?
Frustrating with moments of pure joy.
That was 6, but I will allow it because that was wholesome.
Oh, was there a number count on that? I missed that part of this.
It's okay. You did great, man. That
What
was
was the
on
number count? Give me a redo.
a 5 and
5 words.
5 words. Yeah. Ooh. Uh-oh.
Mostly frustrating,
Okay.
moments of joy.
You see, you did that. That was perfect. Great job. Wholesome as heck. Quick, what's your favorite thing in the room you're in right now?
Favorite thing in the room is that big old sign of our album cover.
Ooh.
That I just acquired from a little in-store performance that I did here in Salt Lake City. Record store that's been my go-to record store since I was like 17.
What?
And the first record store that ever carried my music was this record store. But I went in there to do a little performance, recorded it, and they had this giant promo poster sent to them from the label, which I asked the label for a copy months and months ago. And, oh yeah, we'll totally send you one down. It never came.
Well,
But
come on.
Rail was very generous, and they let me walk out of the front door with the thing. So I'm stoked on it.
That's amazing. I can see how that would mean a lot because they technically watched you grow as a musician, right?
Yeah. When I was, I think 17 or so, my band, high school band at the time, CDRs and burning your own CDs was a thing. So
Right.
we made a record and took them like 5 or 6, and then we'll sell them here. And I think we sold 0 copies, but they were very accommodating, and
Right.
they've always been my go-to store.
Cool. So what was your band name in high school? Was it as complicated as?
I'm not going to tell you because I don't want people doing any research to track down those recordings because it's just awful and no one should be subjected to that.
So what I can do is maybe come up with a band name and lead them on a false road.
Yeah, Hans Klopek and the Midnight Neighbors.
That sounds real. That was really it. I know it.
No, that's what we, whenever Ryan and I have like a secret show, which we still undertake sometimes, but that's usually the name that we use. So
yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
You guys and those mouthfuls of names, when you came up with a name, I don't know how, but they found me. You obviously weren't thinking about the impact it would make on us radio DJs, did you?
No, I wasn't. I hindsight being 2020, it was a terrible choice. But band names in general, the nature of them they're all ridiculous. You just kind of have to not care about how ridiculous your band name is, and I think that's what makes it acceptable.
I feel that.
A beautiful example would be the Beatles,
right.
Arguably the greatest band in history. My favorite band, their band name is a pun, and that's ridiculous. So there's a few handfuls of bands that have gotten away with like really good band names, and the rest of us, we just have to accept the absurdity of it all.
It makes sense. Where did the name come from?
Well, it's a phrase from a favorite movie.
There we go.
And I've always wanted to use it for something like a lyric or an album title or something. But when Ryan and I started playing shows as this band, the first year or so that we did this, it was all in secret. We would book shows and not telling anyone what we were doing. We just wanted to go play for fun and to see if the music we were making could gain attention on its own merit.
Awesome.
So because secrecy was our whole MO, that phrase seemed to really fit what we were doing. I don't know how, but they found me. So we would book shows underneath that name and, dive bars at ridiculous hours, rooms full of strangers that didn't know or didn't care what bands we had been in before. And it seemed to really fit. And as things sort of rolled on, it stuck.
Dallon, can you and I start a movement? Can we start a movement where when concerts become a thing again, can we stop the people trying to talk to other people during because I hate it so much.
That there's certain realities that I feel like are a part of concerts. I can't say now because concerts aren't a thing right now, but that and cell phones constantly going. I mean, you can't fight against technology.
Right.
You sort of had to embrace it, I suppose, because there is no fighting against technology. But it is a bizarre thing to have come up and been a young person going to concerts where that wasn't a thing. You were just living
There.
in a moment, and you weren't looking at it through a screen. You were, rather than capturing a blurry video, you were capturing a clear memory of something.
Right.
So I kind of miss that being a universal experience.
Right.
But yeah, you can't fight the future, I suppose.
Do you see, I don't know how, but They Found Me ever being the band where, like, I forgot which artist I went and saw, I don't know, however many years ago, where they basically made you leave your phone in this locker. Do you think you'll ever get to that point?
I don't know how practical it would be, but
Right.
it might be cool to try that once or twice, just to give, the people in a room a moment that's just for them and nobody else. That would be really cool to be able to do that.
Heck yeah. Well, let's do that, man. I have to say your vocal runs and a lot of your songs, the way you just kind of project and then come down a little bit, then go up. Oh, it's so much fun to do. My wife hates it, but I've been going around singing "Leave Me Alone" nonstop.
Well, apologize to her on my behalf.
I won't.
That's why I do it, because it is fun,
Exactly.
That's why we do music, because it is supposed to be fun first and foremost. And if it's not, then you got to change something.
And you can actually tell that when you're recording, you're probably having the most fun. And that, in my opinion, is infectious,
Yeah. I really enjoy the process. I love performing live because it's so immediate, but being able to get something out of your head and chip away at it until it's just right is also a process I really enjoy.
You get to unleash without having to worry about entertaining crowds. You get to just get it all out.
Get some of the pressure out of your head and
right.
Let the air out of the tires a little bit.
There you go. So name 3 of your vocal inspirations.
Ooh, man. Now that you say this, I don't think that any of my biggest favorite singers would win any singing contests. But there's a certain X factor that they all have that is just very difficult to replicate, because I think singing and singing well is a great talent to have, but it's also a really common talent. Lots of people can sing really well.
Right.
But I think what you're singing about and the way that you express it is far more important than how technically accurate you are. So Elvis Costello, and I would say David Byrne as well, and probably Wayne Coyne from the Flaming Lips.
So now let's jump into Razzmatazz, my favorite word of all time, which also doubles as your album title.
Yeah, came from, well, it's always been, floating around in my head because when I was a kid, we would watch in school this music education program, this Canadian TV show on a VHS tape. The teacher would wheel in that giant TV and put this VHS tape in. It was called The Music Machine.
Wow, I think I remember that.
Every episode, the host would ask this giant computer, the music machine, to play us some Razzmatazz. And so I never forgot that word. So when we were writing the song, Razzmatazz, that word was floating around, and I decided to put that in there. And then when the song was finished, it felt like a closing statement almost. So we decided to run with that and make it the title track for the record.
I love it. Like I said, the best word. And like I said, also, I always do my research. I always give whatever new album and artist that I'm interviewing, I give the album at least 2 full listens. You have to schedule some time to do that too,
Yeah, it takes if you're going to be an album person and not just a song person, you got to chip out more than 3 minutes of your day to sit down and really take in something.
Right. So let's talk about Razzmatazz a little more. A lot of modern bands are going the route of just releasing single after single after single, which is effective, but it leaves people wanting. So you released Just Leave Me Alone, right? Before the album?
I think we had to release a few songs.
Okay.
And mostly that was related to, well, I mean, it's definitely the music landscape that we're living
right.
in. But with COVID going on, we're trying to do our best to stretch out this release as much as we can, just because touring isn't a thing right now. And so promoting your album that way, it's not an option.
Right.
At least not safely.
Right.
So there was a few other ones, but as far as singles go, that's been the only real official single that we've sent to radio and things like that.
Oh, dude, people are eating it up, man. People love it. It's a great song.
it's been crazy to see the response to it. I woke up today to see that it was number 5 on alt radio in the US.
Come on.
It's insane because it's the kind of music I make is not something that I would ever have imagined would appear on any kind of chart at all. But the fact that it's real is I'm incredibly grateful that it is real.
Oh, good is good. And so let's pick your brain a little bit. So a lot of artists as well are kind of waiting to release their new album, waiting for that right moment, especially during the pandemic. What was the deciding factor to say, you know what, now it's now or never to release the album?
I think it was because we've been living with it for so long. We recorded an EP 2 years ago, and a lot of the stuff that was on this record was meant to be on that EP, and this record was all meant to be one thing. You know, everything that we've recorded here and on the EP was meant to be one giant record. But our careers sort of, we started playing catch up with our own careers a little bit. You know, Fearless Records stepped in and
Nice.
we ended up signing with them, and they put us on tour for a while. So it ended up being an EP rather than a full record. So the rest of these songs we had to sit on and live with for a while and wait for the right moment to record them. And that ended up being in February. We finally got a chance to record, and that's when COVID started showing up in the news. So it's been delay after delay after delay after delay. And even, you know, with all that stuff happening, I don't know if there ever really is a right moment to do it. Sometimes you just kind of have to bite the bullet and say, now.
Yeah. I you know, postponing it's one thing, but there are certain bands who, like, they have no release date for it at all. And it's just, you know, got fans kind of clamoring, like, give us a little bit of something, because in my opinion, who knows when this pandemic is going to, you know, present a right moment for that. Right.
I was listening to an interview with Dave Grohl, I think, the other day, and they were talking about, you know, their album and their song that they had just put out in a similar sort of situations. Like, they were sitting on it for a while, waiting for that right moment, and finally had to say, well, it's not coming. Let's just do it.
Yep.
You know,
Leave Me Alone is obviously getting the most attention right now, which, by the way, I heard on Sunday Night Football this past weekend.
Yeah. Some people have been telling me that. I'm not. I'm admittedly not the biggest athlete in the world.
Right.
Don't know.
Okay.
That might surprise you. Try to hold your shock back. But yeah, that was really cool to be able to hear that. That's a thing.
Can we convert you into a Saints fan right now, since you're not really a?
You know what? Yes.
Yes. Okay. Dallon of I Don't Know How But They Found Me is a Saints fan.
Mark me down. Put my name on the list.
You've been initiated. If there was a song on Razzmatazz that means the most to you, which song would that be?
It's hard to say, because there's a good handful of them that mean a great deal to me on this record. There's one song that I wrote about the night that I met my wife.
Nice.
There's a song I wrote about missing my kids while I'm on tour, which took me a long time to get through, because there's this moment in the song where my daughter has this spoken word bit. And while I was writing on the song, every time that bit would come up, I would just, okay, I got to take it.
Yeah.
You know, so that took a while. And then the title track, Razzmatazz, was the last thing that we wrote in the studio. And I feel like I exercised a lot of demons lyrically with that song. So there's a lot on this record that means a great deal to me.
What's the song that you hope people can relate to the most on Razzmatazz?
Man, maybe Kiss Goodnight, because it is a love song, and I think you know, love is a very important thing, and it's in short supply these days, it feels like. I mean, even though it is a very universal feeling, I hope that maybe that's the one that can be the most universal one.
Just listen to the whole album in its entirety at least 3 times, right, Dallon?
No peer pressure.
No, I'm peer pressuring them. Listen to it.
That's fine then. Listen. Yeah, 3 times.
So if someone's watching this and they are just hearing about the band, I don't know how, but they found me for the first time, what is something you can say that would make them say, you know what? I'm going to check them out. I'm going to check out their whole discography.
You know what? That's a hard question, because I think that you get a 50-50 chance.
Absolutely.
Anytime that question comes up.
Yeah.
So when people ask, what does your band sound like? I usually just say hipster nonsense. And if those two words ring a bell with you, you're probably going to check it out. And if they don't, then you won't. You know, 'cause you could spend 20 minutes, you know, trying to explain all your influences and what you might sound like, but they might not be familiar or might hate that stuff. So really.
Plus, within 10 seconds of you trying to describe it, they'll lose interest. And that's
exactly.
That's
telling someone about a dream that you had. It's a very similar experience.
Oh, really? You did what? There's a dragon? Oh,
and then your teeth fell out.
Oh, don't do that, dude. That's my least favorite dream. And did I tell you about my dream? Because I had that same dream like 3 nights ago, and I'm still reeling over it.
Were your teeth fall out?
I had 2 teeth fall out. I held up 3, but I said 2.
The worst.
I guess because my 7-year-old is losing teeth right now, so I went to bed thinking that.
So you're the tooth fairy right now?
I can be. I wear many hats, including this one.
We all do, don't we?
You're right. All right, Dallon, well, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. Any plans on touring in the future? I know, waiting for the right time, but please make sure to add New Orleans to that stop.
Yeah, absolutely. We love New Orleans.
Cool.
Love playing there. So yeah, we'll definitely give you a heads up. And thank you for taking the time out to talk to me and to listen to the record and to play the song. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. It's all nothing but love here, man. When you come, hit us up, okay?
We will.
We'll get you a good time.
100%. I'll forward you some of that tooth fairy money.
Oh, come on now.
I don't know if that qualifies as payola, but
oh yeah, it absolutely does.
We'll edit this part out so no one has to.
All right, consider it edited.
Okay.
All right, Dallon, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks.
Yeah.